This show is brought to you by Altstadt Holdings, retail and office spaces in Altstadt, Vancouver. Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer neuen Sendung von AhornTV. Heute reden wir über das elektrische Fahrzeug, die Electric Car. Und dazu begrüße ich Bruce Stout. Hi Bruce.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Naja, es ist ja schon fast mittags, aber wo wir jetzt aufzeichnen. Und Robert Shaw.
Good morning.
Aber nicht, actually, you speak German. Du
ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch, ja.
Ja, okay, aber Robert Shaw.
Robert spricht kein Wort Deutsch, nur Englisch.
Ach so.
So vielleicht ist besser, dass wir diese Diskussion auf Englisch haben, dass Robert kann diese Diskussion.
Did you understand what he just said?
I can participate if we speak in English. Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we switch to English.
Okay. Let's switch into English. I guess most Germans can speak anyway.
Hopefully.
English. Yeah, I hope so too. So electric car. Before we get actually into the nitty-gritty, let's check out this video which we have prepared quite a while ago and see what's the up-to-date status with the city of Vancouver regarding electric cars.
Okay.
Good morning and welcome to another great TVA conversation.
I'm excited about the potential of electric vehicles to change our city, reduce the smog obviously, but also if we're all running electric and there's no greenhouse gas emissions, then maybe it's a whole new paradigm for getting around the city. And instead of advocating for everybody being on transit, we advocate for everybody to have their personal electrical vehicle.
So my experience when you have an EV is that you tend to drive a little bit differently. I know I live on the North Shore and there's mountains, and so I'm tending to use the braking power a lot more as you come along and recharge the battery as you're moving forward. I know in my case I can drive 15 kilometers to work and only use 7 of the amount that is there because of using the braking. So it's been very interesting to drive them and have an experience with them and see how you actually modify your driving. But I think that the interesting thing about it is that the range anxiety, until we get the charging stations in place and we get the infrastructure that gives people that comfort level that they can know that they can move from point A to point B without that range anxiety and adjusting their driving habits, then we're going to really have this take off, because people will know that they can get from point A to point B without that anxiety.
What we're going to see, particularly for transportation, is you'll see a transportation matrix. You're not going to see the single solution where we've seen to date. To date, all we've seen is an internal combustion engine that was on gasoline or diesel.
Right.
That's it. When you look, and it's the same for the energy sector as a whole, you will start to see fuel cell vehicles that have a slightly different profile to an electric vehicle, which is different to plug-in Prius.
What happened to the hydrogen vehicles and like whatever? You got to get those. There's all kinds of hair on that one, but
there is a lot. And so the technology is there. Fuel cell technology has been around for a long time. It's older than the internal combustion engine. It has technical difficulties, but engineering is solving those. There's no doubt anymore that the fuel cell can deliver.
They say short distances with the electric part, and the long distances with the fuel cell.
Exactly. You'll start to see integrated solutions, both on the vehicle platform, but also the choices that you make. And I think more than anything, what you'll see is regional diversity as well. We have cheap, clean electricity in BC, so why don't you use EVs here? Go down to the US, and if you're on a ready supply of hydrogen, well, why don't...
well, exactly, because most of the way through the US, you'll actually be driving a coal-fired car if you're driving an electric vehicle, which makes no sense whatsoever. You're better off driving it on premium.
Yeah. Exactly. So you're not going to see one solution. It's going to be tailored to the local markets and what people want of their vehicles, and fuel cells will be part of that.
Bruce, what do you think? Is that really the status right now, or are we far away from what?
Well, I thought it was an interesting video, what they were talking about, what's the future of the electric car. I think the electric car is going to be evolutionary rather than revolutionary. And what I mean by that is people are going to adopt the electric car. The electric car or the battery-powered car makes a lot of sense for us to adopt, because we've got to do something about the pollution situation that really isn't happening yet here in Vancouver, but as you look around the world, there's a lot of other cities that have very serious pollution. So the electric car is one way to solve that pollution problem.
Yeah, but okay, let's say we start here in Vancouver. The question is always, if they don't start in the States on the other side, in Seattle, does it really help this whole pollution thing? Or are we more like a research and development area where a lot of companies come to Vancouver and they say, okay, let's pick Vancouver as our area, our field, because the people are very innovative there?
Well, I think that all great journeys begin with one step. And this is a great journey for us and for all of the people of the world. Battery-powered cars are going to be good for our environment. The one thing nobody ever talks about when they talk about battery-powered or electric cars is how much fun they are to drive. It's a quiet experience.
Because it's the instant
power. Instant torque, instant power.
Instant torque, no?
When I put somebody in an electric car for the first time, the first thing I do is put the accelerator pedal down, because everybody's been told that electric cars are very slow.
Yeah.
So we get over the fact that in about 7 or 8 seconds I can hit 70 kilometers an hour.
Yeah.
And once they're over that, then they say, holy smoke, this car really moves. This is as fast as my whatchamacallit. Now they're prepared to sit down and say, okay, let's talk about these electric cars, because now I know I'm not going to be the snail on the roadway. I'm not going to be the car that drives everybody crazy because they're blocking the traffic. Electric cars will not block the traffic, and electric cars are real, and they're an actual car right now. And one of our goals this year with the Vancouver Electric Car Association is to help the general public realize that electric cars are real, they do exist, they do work. And come to a VEVA meeting on the third Wednesday of every month and talk to us.
So once a month, VEVA meeting.
VEVA meeting.
And you guys talk about the news?
We talk about electric cars. We have electric cars there. Anybody who wants to come to the meeting can go for a ride in an electric car.
Only cars or also electric bikes?
Well, electric bikes exist too. But once you've had a ride in an electric car, then the whole idea of an electric car becomes real. Until that time, it's an imaginary concept of an electric car.
Okay, before we continue that discussion, Robert, you are...
I'm the treasurer of VEVA.
And you're an engineer.
I'm an electrical engineer by training. I've been a member of VEVA for over 15 years. I began with electric bicycles. It's only in the last, about 2.5 months ago that I started looking for an electric car. And 2 months ago I got one. It's it's a lovely car.
100% electric or
pure
hybrid?
Electric. Pure electric.
Pure electric.
The electric car is logical. It's a very logical extension or evolution of the car.
Yeah.
And for 95% of Canadians, it probably is a workable car for their daily commuting, for their daily use.
Let's say it this way: before you continue, if we wouldn't change for the Canadians an electric car as a pickup, then it would be very attractive.
A pickup truck?
Yeah. Pickup truck, electric?
They're actually, we actually have a...
I interrupted you.
Oh, no.
Sorry about that.
There is actually a series hybrid pickup truck. Was it a half-ton?
That's the VIA truck,
The VIA truck.
Yeah, there's a company out of the United States that's taken a General Motors pickup truck, a half-ton pickup truck, and they've ordered a General Motors pickup truck with the smallest V6 motor that they can put in a pickup truck.
Yeah.
And then they've taken that motor drivetrain and they've disconnected it. They put in a powerful electric motor. They put a series of lithium-ion batteries in the back of that pickup truck. And the gasoline-powered motor just serves as a generator to charge those batteries to run the pickup truck. So you have a very good design, which you plug in and you can run it for a certain length of time. You also have a gasoline motor up front that will run that generator. And the target market for this truck is people that do construction. So if you do construction, you go to the job site, you always have to take a generator to be able to run your tools. If you have the pickup truck at the job site, it has plugs on the side. You plug in the tools that you want to use at your job site. And now you've got a situation whereby you've always got your generator with you. You don't have to worry about somebody stealing the generator from the job site because it's in the truck.
So even in the film industry?
Absolutely.
We can use it also for the lighting and everything.
Sure,
yes.
yeah. So, so you drive the truck to the site.
The batteries.
The batteries are there.
Yeah.
The generator to run all of your equipment is there. It's a brilliant idea.
So I've got many, many questions still.
Go ahead.
But
Please, we have lots of time.
the very first electric car,
Right.
what was that?
Well, there's been several electric cars over a period of time. The Vancouver Electric Vehicle
But the
Association.
seriously one, which we
The Vancouver Electric Vehicle Association has been very fortunate in that we've required a 1912 Detroit Electric. So this car is 100 years old. It still runs, and it normally lives at the Stave Falls Museum in Mission, BC. So it's a 100-year-old technology. It still runs just like it did 100 years ago.
So, who killed the electric car? Because, as you just said, the electric car was in the very beginning there, but still the industry decided for the combustion engine.
Back at the turn of the century, and I'm talking the last century, 1900s, you had choices of what kind of vehicle you'd want to drive in. You obviously had horses, you had steam-powered vehicles, you had gasoline-powered vehicles, you had electric-powered vehicles. The gasoline vehicles were just starting to come on stream with Henry Ford's manufacture of gasoline-powered vehicles. It's interesting to note that Henry Ford's wife drove an electric car and insisted on driving an electric car because she could start the electric car herself. Any of the cars that were gasoline-powered at that time required somebody to turn a crank to get the car started. The problem with turning a crank to getting the car started, if the car kicked back, then you could break your arm or break your jaw. So in 1912, there was a gentleman who was helping out a woman that was stalled on a bridge, and he was trying to start her car by cranking it. The car kicked back, broke his arm. He went to hospital, died 3 days later, because in 1912, when you got sick, your outcome was never certain. And in this particular case, the gentleman died. His very good friend was with the Cadillac Corporation. The gentleman with the Cadillac Corporation that says, we must do something to fix this. They came up with an electric starter. So in 1912, Cadillac was the first gasoline-powered car with an electric starter. Because you now have an electric starter on a gasoline-powered car, anybody can start the car. Because anybody can now start the car, then it becomes a consideration for a woman to drive it. Today, well over 50% of the women are drivers, and they have 80% of the influence on what car is bought. Everybody in the family should be able to drive the car, and it shouldn't be special. So if you're doing a car where you're converting in a gasoline-powered car to electric, that's a hobby. If you're buying an electric car that's been made by one of the major manufacturers, that's an appliance. So now you've got a situation, you go down, you open the car up, you push a button, the car starts, you drive the car away just like you drive a normal car. You don't need any special training at all. It's extremely simple. It gives you a range in excess of 100 kilometers.
You don't change gears?
Nothing. No.
Not even 1, 2?
No, the beauty of an electric car is that an electric motor has the ability to generate a lot of power to move the car. And because an electric motor turns like this, and there's nothing banging as there is in the other style cars, you've got a lot longer life out of an electric car. And all you do is put it in the D for drive like we're comfortable with. You put it in an R for reverse, you've got a P for a park button, you've got an N for a neutral button. It drives exactly the same as the modern automatic transmission car that we're used to.
What about the practicability in terms of, you know, really to watch it realistically?
Sure.
What do we have to do with the infrastructure to make it, you know,
viable,
to make it attractive for the people?
Go.
Because especially when you want to go, let's say up to Whistler, or you want to go from Toronto to Kitchener.
Right.
You don't want to, I mean, you need some gas stations in between, I guess.
Or
battery stations.
Rapid recharging stations.
Rapid recharging.
Most charging will happen wherever the car sleeps at night, which means close to actually one's home, or where I sleep. If you're going to Whistler, there would have to be, there's a need to have what's called level 3 charging, and that's where you can actually charge the battery pack up to 80% of its charge in 20 minutes.
Wow, 20 minutes?
20 minutes. It's a very fast recharging.
Yeah.
There's going to be 13 of them here right now planned for BC. One of them is down at Science World, and it actually might be active
hopefully soon,
right now.
Because we'll want to test that out soon. Robert's car has the ability to take that quick charge. When you sit down and you sit down and you say to yourself, okay, what kind of car have I got? What does it cost me to run that car on a regular basis? I know of somebody right now in this city who lives in one city and he goes to another city every day to work. And he's figured out what it costs him to run his truck back and forth. And all he does is go into work, spend the day at work, and he drives back again.
Very expensive, no?
Right?
Combustion.
And he's done the math on what it costs to run the truck for fuel, what it costs to run the truck for oil changes, oil filters, air filters, all the other extraneous things that you have to run an internal combustion engine, and he's gone and bought an electric car. I know someone else, again, a member of our organization, that's done the math, and he's purchased an electric car with the savings he's getting on gasoline. So every 2 weeks he makes a payment on the electric car, to buy the electric car, and that amount of money he puts on his car every 2 weeks for that payment equals what he was spending on gasoline.
Yeah, incredible.
So at the end of 3 years, he's got nothing left by spending it on gasoline. At the end of 3 years, he owns a car.
Yeah, I know. My truck, I mean, I got a really nice SUV, but 17 liters in the city.
That's right. You're burning 17 liters. So it's costing $25
it's crazy.
to run this car every 100 kilometers.
And when I tell it to a friend, they say, oh, well, it's a company car, isn't it? And you think, so what? Yeah, but the point is, that's very egoistic thinking, right? What do you mean company car? You still pollute the air.
Robert spends $3 a night if he drives 100 kilometers to charge his car. And he does that at home, so every morning when he gets up, he has a full tank.
Now, the hydrogen fuel cell car.
Right.
Everyone is talking still of the electric car. Fuel cells is not still, it hasn't established itself. And I think, I mean, we saw it in the clip.
Yep.
We could use fuel cell technology for long distances and for short distances in the city, the electric part.
Fuel cells for cars, it's been a promise of every 5 years there's going to be a major breakthrough.
Yeah, exactly.
And basically it just keeps on rolling itself into the future. There may be a company that actually has a fundamental breakthrough, and we're talking about almost fundamental breakthrough. You know, fuel cells have been around over 100 years, probably into the 18th century. A lot of very, oh yes. Oh yeah, fuel cells have been around a long time. And NASA spent an incredible amount of money developing the fuel cell for the moon launch, actually. A lot of very, very bright people have worked on fuel cell technology. And fuel cells seem to be only suitable for actually short-term, high current capabilities. What happens with fuel cells generally? Now, somebody may be working on a wonderful breakthrough, but they clog up. The membranes basically clog up, and you have to strip them down, clean them up completely, and then reassemble.
If I was an automobile manufacturer, I would be doing development at the same time on all the possible future technologies, because my goal as an automobile manufacturer is to provide you with mobility. How that actually works isn't really that important, because the consumer's really going to decide with their wallets where they're going to buy and what they're going to buy. So right now, the fuel-powered, either gasoline or diesel technology, is what we're using. What's happening with this whole idea is the electric car is just getting started, okay? And with anything that's new like that, there's going to be people that are going to say, too expensive, too limited, doesn't work, because it's a change. So what we're looking for right now is an evolutionary change rather than a revolutionary change. And I feel very strongly that we're going to have an evolutionary change. It won't happen as fast as everybody predicted. If you look at the sales of electric cars, the sales of electric cars in Canada and the United States aren't as brisk or as robust as everybody thought they would be, but they are starting to take off. What's going to happen this year is one of the major manufacturers is going to come up with an electric car that seats 5 people. They're going to take some of the content out of it, and they're going to sell it for $30,000 in the United States. Now that's full price. But after that $30,000, they're going to get some federal grants and state grants. So in California, you can have an electric car for $20,000.
Wow.
Now it starts to become making sense, because if I got a $20,000 electric car versus a $15,000 gasoline car, and over 5 or 10 years of running that car, how much fuel am I going to put in it?
Okay, now we are running out of time, but just last question. The oil industry.
Right.
We always had them as some sort of obstacle, let's say,
Yes.
to bring in the electric technology. But now, obviously, is it correct that actually the oil industry is supporting that? And that because they have gas stations,
right?
So they have theoretically the infrastructure. So anyway, question is, they cannot hold back anymore the consumers' wishes in terms of electric cars. That's over. They can't kill it.
It can be slowed down, but I don't think it's going to be killed, because there was another excellent movie called The Revenge of the Electric Car.
Yeah.
And really what's happening here is people are very, very educated and very connected. Now that we've got the internet and all the information that's out there, people can see, okay, this is starting to make sense. 2004 was the major breakthrough, and that was the lithium iron phosphate battery. And now we've got a battery system that holds more energy than it ever did before, is lighter in weight, provides more ability to work these cars, and now the cars are becoming a real thing. I don't think you've possibly commented on this yet, and maybe you listeners haven't noticed, but in any town in Canada, as you drive along, you're finding it harder and harder to get gasoline because they're closing gasoline stations.
No, come on. Really?
Absolutely.
I've noticed that.
Yeah, they're closing gasoline stations. And why are they closing gasoline stations? Well, because the property is extremely valuable. But once upon a time in Vancouver, there were many corners that had 4 competing gas stations on the corner.
Oh yeah, Davie and Burra.
Exactly. How many gas stations do you see now?
Yeah, just one.
That's right. So what's happening is they're looking at the future. These people are not ignorant. They're very intelligent people. They've been very successful for a long time. They see a change coming. What happened to the video stores is they didn't see the change coming, and it happened extremely fast.
Very fast.
Can you rent a DVD from Blockbuster anymore?
No. Yeah, that's the point. Just online,
right.
whatever.
The other companies that didn't see the future is the film companies.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is being shot electronically right now.
Yeah.
It's not being shot on film anymore. The major company that used to sell film.
Kodak, no?
Yes, but the future is coming. The future is coming a little slower than we thought it would because of what happened to the economy in 2008. But the future is definitely coming.
I hope we will still all be alive when it comes, actually.
Oh, be an optimist.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood. I thank you very much, gentlemen.
Vielen Dank.
And, well, I could talk really hours and hours with you guys about this topic, but next time.
Well, we have some other ideas about electric vehicles and possibly going for a ride in one to let your viewers see what that's all about.
Okay, very good. And we can see you guys on the website, veva.ca.
Yeah.
Viva.ca.
VEVA.ca.
Ja, okay. VEVA.ca für unsere deutschen Zuschauer. And I thank you very much for watching us. Please follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, and also go on our YouTube channel and watch our shows. They are all uploaded in the YouTube channel. Thank you very much.